Hello YouTube, this is Yusuke from LansingGoals. Not too long ago, Jenna Marbles put out a video called Let's Acrylic Pour, in which she tried acrylic pouring for the first time. The results, to use her own words,
it looks like a piece of shit!
While there were a lot of little things that went wrong, there's one critical mistake she made which determined the results. And that is the consistency of the paint. More specifically, in her case, it was way too loose. I've taught many acrylic pour workshops in the Lansing area. I've helped about 100 people do their first dirty pour flip cup and had a success rate in the high 90%. Those who fail are the ones who rush the mixing step, don't listen, or sometimes they add too much silicone because they think more silicone equals more cells, which is not true, by the way. This step is so important that I make everyone do it together, at least the first color. So that's like, everybody get your cup, get the Floetrol, add it to this line, get your paints, add it to this line, take your stick, keep mixing it, mix it till it's totally incorporated, and then add water and keep mixing. Add water till consistency. You know, like a kindergarten class, step by step for the first color, because it's just that important. The consistency of the paint is so important that if you mess this step up, you're guaranteed to fail. But in the same vein, if you do it right, no matter what you do after that, the results are going to be at worst okay. From there, you can start making more fun decisions, like how do I layer my colors in the cup? How do I want to tilt the canvas? And none of that matters if you botch the setup. Acrylic pouring is like bungee jumping. It's a lot of fun, but if you mess up the setup, you end up with a big mess on the floor.
I ruined it!
Jenna.
And it's understandable to undervalue the mixing step because frankly, it's not the fun part. Most videos don't even show it. On Instagram, you know, it's the 20 seconds of just the colors coming out and flowing all beautifully and the cells popping up. And even on some beginner tutorials, they mention it, but it's interspersed with all the other little things that, you know, it's not emphasized as much as it should be. So what is the right consistency? It actually depends on the look you're going for. In acrylic pouring, there's a range of acceptable consistency, and it's split up into three major sections from thickest to thinnest. The thickest being the zebra stripes, the middle being the cells, and the thinnest being the wispy feathers. All acrylic pour techniques start with one of the three consistencies. Example of the zebra sprites is something like this, where the shape is clearly defined and the colors are separated, and you know, you get a lot of these stripe looking patterns, and that is because it's thick and the paint doesn't mix together as much. Here's one that looks like a zebra with the black and white stripes. And you know, the color is independent of the pattern. It could be a bunch of different colors. This just happens to be a bunch of black on white. For cells, you got something like this, where it's a lot of these circle shapes, or the bubbles. And this tends to be what people want to do when they say, hey, I want to do acrylic pouring. They want to get this cell pattern. Here's like another example of the cells. This is all blue and silver. This was the same consistent. This is with a swipe technique. You got zones of different color, but it's a bunch of cells. And for wispy feathers, you got something like this, where the colors are blending in each other, and the edges, they look all ghostly and feathery. And this is what people tend to call the Dutch pour, where you just take a hairdryer and blow it around. If you try to get one of those looks with the wrong consistency of paint, it's just not gonna come out. You might get something nice, but you're not gonna get your intended effect. The rest of this video is gonna be explaining different ways to check your consistency. I'm gonna show 3 different methods of checking your consistency. How the paint drips off the stick, how the paint builds up when you drip it into the cup, and how the paint levels once you cut across it. So here I have watered down the 3 colors. The red is the thickest, that would create zebra stripes. The blue is the midway, which would create cells. And the yellow is the thinnest, which would create the wispy feathers. So another way to check is the shape it makes as it touches, as it drops. You can see when it hits the cup, the paint in the cup, there's like a pyramid shape. It's very bumpy pyramid. Before it levels out. It's hard to show on the camera. In the cell mixture, you can see it's not as pronounced. It's more of a smooth hill that forms at the bottom. And then the loosest one, you can see it just instantly flattens out. Let me get paint on the camera. If you cut it with a stick, you can see it takes maybe 3 seconds for the paint to level. That's when you know it's thick. I had to actually add more paint to thicken this up to this consistency. So this has more paint than the rest of them. This one, you can see it levels in about 2 seconds. This was with a little water added. This is the consistency you get cells. So that's it for the video. I hope I was able to demonstrate that the consistency is the #1 important thing in fluid acrylics. The red zebra stripes was the thickest, the blue cells was the middle, and the yellow wispy feathers was the thinnest. And in case of Jenna Marble, she was way past the feathery part into, you know, too loose territory. Then that's why she got the results she got. There were plenty of other things, nitpicky things that she could have done different, but without getting the consistency right, it'd be pretty pointless to point out the rest. If you have any questions, please leave a like and feel free to ask below in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. If you're ever in the Lansing area, check out the Artist Gym or the Cedar Street Art Collective for fluid painting classes that I might be teaching. Thank you.
Now I know what it feels like.